Hello, everyone, and welcome to Elevate Your Business. I'm Ed Jarecki, and I'm excited to take you on a journey through today's episode. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Bob Cohen to the show. Bob is a distinguished business advisor, entrepreneur, educator, author, and speaker with a wealth of knowledge in communication, cooperatives, incubation, crowdfunding, entrepreneurship, blockchain, and international trade. As a professional instructor of management and a key figure at the Braintree Business Development Center, Bob has been instrumental in supporting over 100 startup companies in Northeast Ohio. His expertise in transforming ideas into successful enterprises makes him an invaluable resource for anyone looking to navigate the world of complex entrepreneurship. So please help me welcome Bob Cohen to the show. Bob, it's awesome to see you again. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be with you.
I appreciate that. To start with, could you share a little bit more about what you do and yourself?
Sure. Let me start with the Braintree Business Development Center is a business incubation and entrepreneurship program. We're located in Mansfield, Ohio, which is about halfway between Cleveland and Columbus. We are the second oldest incubator in Ohio and one of the more established incubators in the Midwest. Most of our clients come from the immediate Mansfield area, but we have people throughout the state and even people that we work with that are in states contiguous to Ohio, depending on their needs and our connections. Probably at any given time, we have about 40 what we call intense. Any company that wants to be nearby, we're able to arrange for them to have space in the building. Most of the others are in the immediate Mansfield area, but we do have people from throughout the Midwest.
So today you've been around this block for quite a period of time, helped a lot of different businesses. How do you define success today?
I think how we define success is pretty easy because our success is based on the success of our companies that we work with. How they define success is probably a little more complex. Funders, the Third Frontier program for the state of Ohio, acquiring patents, which doesn't always apply to every company, but certainly if a company is able to be granted a patent, maybe that's more aspirational than anything else, that it could lead to future revenue. We also track outside investment, creating employment for people is considered a success. And then ultimately revenue. That's probably the most solid one that a company can base its success on if it's earning sufficient revenue to sustain itself and thrive.
I want to extend the question based on something you and I previously talked about.
If I had to try to distill it down to maybe one word, I'd say coachability. As we interact with people, they're usually coming to us because they think we know some things. I guess our main strength is that we've worked with enough businesses that hopefully we can save them some time, prevent them from reinventing the wheel. And it's always good when entrepreneurs know what they don't know and are receptive to advice. And so, usually, pretty early on, we can tell this is going to be an easy person to work with or not. And when we point out difficulties that we see with their model and they argue with us or just want to continue anyways, that's to us sort of a telltale sign that things may not go well in that business. I think being able to admit that maybe you had misjudged something, the market, the complexity, being able to adapt to changing circumstances. I put all of that under coachability.
And when you consider the success of many of the businesses that you've been able to coach, how have you seen that actually play out in their coachability relative to that business success?
Well, the word we sometimes use is pivot. When a company's going down a certain path, they realize, hey, there's a better way to go, or we need to find a different way to go, and they're able to make that pivot. That's usually an indication that they've got some of the grounds for success. And I would say, along with perseverance, you can't be lazy in entrepreneurship.
These journeys are never easy. They're always wrought with different types of challenges. What are one or two of those top challenges you've experienced and the lessons learned to pass along to our audience?
I think, again, we can look at this on two levels, the challenges that we face and then the challenges that our client companies face. And I guess I've always thought of our biggest challenge as providing all of the different pieces of the puzzle. As you know, entrepreneurship and business in general is very complex. There's a number of interdependent factors that lead to success. Missing just one of those can create a chain reaction and be disastrous to the long-term future of the company. And so it's sort of a juggling act. I think a lot of times we look at this as there's three major elements in entrepreneurship: idea, management, and capital. And very seldom does an entrepreneur have all three of those. Typically, we get people with ideas. Either they're inventors or creative people, and they can do something very special and they'd like to turn that into a business, or they're good at seeing niches and unmet needs and saying, hey, I think I can come up with an idea to fill that need. So, ideas probably the most common thing we see in entrepreneurs. Management, not so much so. Some of those creative people, some of those idea people, the inventors, they don't necessarily have the business management skills and background. So that's one of the things we try to supply through a variety of resources and mentors and other people that can help with that. And then the third element, capital. Few entrepreneurs come in with a lot of capital. If they did, I'd probably say, well, why don't you just lead your life and spend your money and, have a nice life? So part of our job is to make sure that all three of those are there.
Absolutely love it. And so innovation has changed a lot over the years, but it always is made up of people, process, and technology wrapped in the culture to enable win-win-win outcomes. Win for the customer, win for the business, and win for all the stakeholders included. When you consider innovation, how has innovation helped drive your success with these entrepreneurs, and even a little bit on how those entrepreneurs are leveraging it for their success?
Well, since we are a high tech focus in our incubation program, we ourselves need to keep up on latest technology trends because we're going to be the people that may very well introduce them to new technology that can further their business. So we try to stay on the cutting edge ourselves. And over the years, I can think back to things like crowdfunding, blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, where we developed an expertise in that early on. And in each of those three cases, we were sort of ahead of the curve and actually got called upon to give presentations to other entrepreneurial organizations to bring them up to speed. I can remember when crowdfunding first came on the scene, particularly equity crowdfunding, where people would use a platform to acquire investment. I was literally on the speaking circuit, going to different business conferences and explaining crowdfunding to other business advisors and crowdfunding best practices so that they could then turn around and help their clients engage in a crowdfunding campaign. And we did much the same with blockchain technology, cryptocurrency. We're literally going through that now with AI, where it's such a buzzword and our clients are asking about it. And we really can't be in a position where we say, I'm not too sure myself what that is. So we have to be able to provide them the basics and be able to connect them with the resources. And now we have some of our clients that are actually AI providing companies.
Outstanding. And I share that same experience, including helping business owners with how to leverage some of these tools to greatest effect. So a lot more to come on that front because that world is ever evolving with new stuff coming out every day, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Final takeaway for our audience. If there was one thing that you could offer them to say, you really need to consider this as part of your business and life success, what would that be?
When I talk to entrepreneurs, I tell them, pay attention to cash flow. I think that's the one thing, not that they can only do that, not pay attention to anything else, but if you're okay with cash flow, that's probably an indication that other parts of the business are going well. And I've seen more businesses killed by cash flow than anything else. And I think even in the business planning stage, people map out, here's our startup expenses, here's our revenue projections. And it's very common for them to forget the lag, that when they open on day one, they're not earning any revenue that day, and maybe not week one, maybe not even month one. And then when they finally get customers and they do the work and they bill them, and then those customers take a while to pay, meanwhile, their expenses continue on. And I think it's at that point, entrepreneurs failing to establish a reserve to get them through those early stages. They literally spend everything they can and hawk everything they can to get the business rolling, and then don't realize how challenging that's going to be after that. Or they do get some revenue, they're doing well, they reinvest in the business and get themselves back to a situation where there's nothing in their checking account, and then unforeseen expenses come along. They don't have the credit rating to be able to get a line of credit or loans. And again, that comes back and sort of nips them in the rear. So I think cash flow is probably the most important thing to pay attention to. And when I give people advice, when I begin interacting with entrepreneurs for the first time, they tell me what they need. Well, I'm going to need a place to operate. I'm going to need a loan. I'm going to need people with this expertise. And I'll say, okay, we can line all of that up for you. That's what we do. And I always tell them, be careful what you ask for, because you said you wanted to do this and it's not going to be easy. And I'm going to map out a plan. And a lot of times it's going to involve reaching out to people. It's going to involve going to different conferences, developing different expertise. I'm going to work you pretty hard and make sure this is what you want to do, and that you're just not talking about doing this because it sounds fun, that you're really ready to buckle down and do this. And I tell people, hang on to your day job as long as you can. Part of it is that cash flow. Part of it is just simple things like health insurance. I say when you finally get to the point where you're either about to commit yourself to a mental institution from overwork, or somebody's about to file for divorce on you, that might be the time to consider cutting back on the other job and devoting more resources to this. But hang on as long as you can.
Any final thoughts?
I think as tough as we say entrepreneurship is, and all consuming as it is, I hope people can still keep their lives as simple as they can. Don't overcomplicate things. It's a long life, but it's also a short life. And particularly as you get up in years, you realize the time that has elapsed. I can't imagine too many people that get to their older years and don't have regrets about what they did and what they didn't do. You've heard this cliche about nobody's ever looked back and said, oh, I wish I would have spent more time working and less time with my family and my children and my interests and things like that. And that's very true. I think it's like a life balance. And I think people have to make sure that, as driven as they are, when it's all over, they still feel like they've had a nice life.
Love it. Thank you so much for that. Bob's journey is a prime example of transforming conventional service through technology and innovation. As we wrap up this insightful conversation, we'd like to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. What challenges have you faced in your entrepreneurial journey, and how can insights from experts like Bob Cohen help you overcome them? We hope this episode has inspired you to think creatively about business opportunities in your own field. Thank you, Bob, for sharing your valuable insights, and thank you all for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join us next time for more entrepreneurial wisdom. Until then, stay resilient, keep innovating, and never stop pursuing your dreams. Have a wonderful day, everyone.